everybody. We want a little revisit again, so we're back on the Himalayan 450, and I always think it's good to get back on some of these bikes that you've tested in the past, just to see how the bikes have fared now they're well running, and just see if my opinion on the bike is the same as it was when I first rode it. And I think you've got to allow that on some of these bikes. Just give them a second go, because you don't always get it that accurate on the first one. And see if my opinion's changed, because I've now ridden, obviously, again, quite a lot of the other small capacity bikes, the 400s, 450s, 500s. I just want to see where this fares now. So I think when you look at the state of the motorbike market at the moment, particularly with dealers that seem to be going down the pan every 5 minutes, this bike seems to make a little bit more sense now, and a slightly better choice for people, because with the spares availability, the pattern parts you can get online really easily, and the time it takes to bring stuff from India, for just a few days. I've ordered tons of stuff from India in a few days. So I think it's showing itself to be actually a good choice. If you want a bike which is light, robust and reliable, and to more an extent of infinitely serviceable, then I think the Enfield Himalayan is actually a really, really good choice for people. And I think the people that have bought these are probably going to start to realise how good it is, because I think people realise how important it is to have a good dealer network to help service and maintain your bike. But now that the rain stopped, we'll go and park up and have a chat about the Himalayan again. And yes, I've got a drone. It was all excited. I'll show you a little bit later, briefly, but I'll do a bit more with the drone at a later video. But yeah, all drones. It's the very first time I used it, so I was still quite a novice at it, but it's a fantastic piece of kit.
So, the Himalayan, is it still a good bike? Does it compare with all the raft of all the new bikes that have come out on the market? Well, I think it does. I think it's showing itself to be a reliable, easy to look after bike. And I'll come back to that topic in a minute. But one thing I did find today coming back onto this bike was the seat. With the seat in the lower position, I felt like I was more in it rather than on it. And when I had the bike before, I had it on the high setting, so that's made quite a difference to me. And it's given me a nicer feel into the bike. So I don't feel so over the top of it now. So that's really nice. The engine's now running. This has done about 2,500 miles. So it's settled down. It's a little bit smoother, but it's just a bit more relaxed, I suppose, is the word I'd use. And now the sun's come out, because I came through an absolute thunderstorm this morning to get this bike.
I thought I'd get out on the bike and do a bit of riding. I took the opportunity to do this little section here, was just to show some of how easy this bike is to handle in slow speed. You never feel like this bike's going to topple over. And I know it's a little bit heavier than most of the other bikes in this sort of field, but it carries its weight really well. And just plodding around, this was a really slippery, horrible car park that I managed to find, and it was muddy. We'd just gone through that terrible storm. The surface was loose, but really sure-footed, and then standing up. I had no problem with this at all. Using the clutch control was great. It's nice and light, and the fly-by-wire throttle on here wasn't snatchy or anything. I know when I had the Gorilla out the other week, this might have been a little bit hard on that, but on the Himalayan, the throttle and everything seems really well sorted, and it was actually a pleasure to use. I never felt as if I was going to fall over, or have to put my feet down. I was trying to be a little bit like Dougie Lampkin, but without going over anything today. But the ease and lightness of this bike, also with that seat in the low setting, just made a difference. Now I know you're going to have panniers and baggage on here. It's going to change the feel of the bike a little bit, but it just felt really sure-footed, and the actual riding position standing up was really good. I didn't feel I was straining any part of my body at all. The actual, if you like, peg to grip length was absolutely perfect for me. So I thought we'd then go and get it out onto the back roads, and this is where I think this bike feels really comfortable. Just trolleying around, you can imagine the thing with these smaller capacity bikes, their natural home isn't the motorway. If all you're going to do on its motorways, you must get yourself an RT 1200. But bikes like this just really excel on these lovely back roads, where that engine becomes really tractable. And you can just imagine, you've got a few panniers on and all your bits and bobs, and the bike just feels happy. The handling's quick but not overly sharp. You never feel like you're out of control. The clutch is great, the brakes, plenty of feel on the brakes, and I've said this before about Enfields, all the Enfields I got, I think the brakes are excellent. I do remember when I had my first Himalayan, the 411, and that front brake was not the greatest, and it was always very well criticised for that. But the modern brakes on these bikes, on these Enfields, they've really got it down to a fine art. And I said it about my Hunter as well, superb brakes. But they're on this, and that suspension setup, which I already mentioned, is that it's really forgiving, and it's a sort of suspension that is not going to cause you any major problems. You're not going to think, well, I'm coming up to a big bump and here we go, this is going to hurt. And it's the same to what Karen said to me by riding the Hunter. She never has to worry now about looking what's coming up on the road quite as such, the little potholes and everything we get in the UK, which is shocking. The bike will cope with it, unless the pothole's 6 foot deep and you don't come out the other side. But I think the suspension, the steering, the brakes, they all work well together, and I think that's the strength of Enfield, along with the gearing. The gearing's really good, and I noted again that the 4th, 5th and 6th, you'll get decent pull from lowish revs, from 40 miles an hour. It'll pull well in all those gears, where the Gorilla that I had the other week, the gearing's changed on that, and 6th gear didn't really like from 40 miles an hour, which is just the way you adapt your riding, isn't it? But this is such a tractable engine in this gearing setup. I think it's a mini marvel, really. And this is just at the point I wanted to bring up about this bike. It's a bike I can trust to take me on a long journey, and if I end up in remote places, it's highly likely that I can get it fixed. I can get spare parts, and I can take spare parts with me, and I can take fork seals, I can take sprockets and stuff. And there's a video coming out which I've done where I talk around these Chinese bikes, which I think are really good, the CF Moto and the Vosgen. I think they are really good bikes, but my worry is the spares back up, and I'll put a link to that video at the end of this. But I think it just might create a little bit of debate and chatter around that, what I think about some of these bikes. But this Enfield is a bike I think I could trust. If I was going to do a long trip with it, this is the bike I'd take. It'd be lovely to take a GS and that, but the problem with those bikes is so heavy. This for in and out of Africa or wherever we want to go, I just think this would be a really good companion, and when that when you turn the key, it's going to start. And I think that's all we want, isn't it? We just want to know, certainly for me, I want to know when I get on this bike in the morning after I've had a really hard ride the day before, that it's going to start, it's going to pull away, and I'm not going to have any issue with it. And if I do break a couple of bits, that I can probably fix it myself, because all the parts on there are readily fixable, sort of by yourself, really. And this is the thing that's important to me, I think, is that this bike isn't disposable. It'll have a long service life. I'll be able to service it in the long term. I'll be able to get the parts for it. And isn't that where we should be going? Things which are infinitely repairable. And I talk about this in my other video about, I worry that some of these Chinese bikes will become slightly disposable. But that is for another video. I could go a long way into that. But I just think the Himalayan is it's a good choice for people that want a bike with a long life, and that's really important. So let's get back to the chat and we'll wind it up.
Yes, I think the Himalayan is a good bike. I think it's going to have a lot of longevity, and that's why I like it. I think it's an impressive piece of kit. Riding this again, I've actually enjoyed riding this the second time more than I did the first time. I've not worried about the vibration. It's still there, but it's not really worrying me. The dash and all the bits and pieces, you know, it just feels good. It just feels like it's all here. There's nothing wrong with it, you know, that I can see. Everything's rugged, well built. The suspension's great, and I can get the fork seals for it. But yeah, I think the Himalayan is a good choice. I think I don't want to say it's a safe choice because I think we should always have a little bit of risk in our lives. But if I was planning a trip along, you know, if we were doing the long way around, you know, what would you do it? Would you do it on a CF moto or would you do it on an Enfield? I sort of think I know what I'd do it on, because I know all the way around in all those countries I could probably get parts. Well, actually nothing to be bleating on. I'm going to take the bike back. I was also doing some drone shots with this video, so hopefully they've come out, because I won't know yet because I've not got home. But I'm doing some stuff with the DJI Neo. I'll show you that quickly. Don't go away. And I'm using this. So the Neo, it works on its own. I don't need a controller with it. I do have a controller, and I can get it to fly around and do all sorts of random stuff. But hopefully you'll see some of the shots, and it'd be interesting for your feedback, what you think those shots are like. But take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember to subscribe and put notifications on, because there's some good stuff coming up. Because we're out to India next week. So by the time you get to see this, we would have come back from India. And I should have some interesting videos from there. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Ride safe.